Okay, here we are at the next night. The plot thickens. Now, I wanted to set this up so you're not waiting for me to build this train of 36, 4x9 pieces to look like that. So, I went through the build process earlier. So watch earlier videos to see how I built this. But this is quote unquote complete. And this is the easiest way to build it. You lay 36 out in a row and you just build it, and then you complete the circle later. Because to have the reinforcement before you make it into a circle, much better than trying to build a circle and put the reinforcement on. So, which is what you saw me do with this one, but whatever. The other thing I did is I'm going to show you this one because it was the rocket launch platform that was requested. So I took all the other, all these guys off, which is the habitat to keep the center empty to build, people stuff. So this is back to the rocket launcher, and I didn't want to take this is new to me because I didn't do this for the rocket platform that I built. I used 5 of these 10 brick high supports that came in the monorail sets, and I put 4 here and then 1 in the middle because I had nothing in the model. But I thought, let's try this because I'm here. And so these guys are ready to go. You put the tiles around the edge, and I'll show you why in a sec after we put it together. And the back is just 2x16 and 2x6 and 2x8 because you're going to avoid the center struts. And so the center struts can go here. There's no tile, there's no plates there. And the other thing is that I put 2x4 bricks on top of the towers because that'll span across this little seam here. So this will be supported and these will be supported. The other thing is on my rocket launch platform, and I didn't do it here because I'm in not necessarily a rush, but it takes a lot of time to build up on the interior to the height where these things are going to be. So there's going to be no support on the corners, but you don't care because this thing's here. But my rocket launch platform, there's support all the way around on the perimeter, just because I filled in this area on the wings all the way around. I think you can see me here all the way. I filled, and then I built it, and then put tiles on top where it was going to be resting on the bottom of this corner here. So that was great, but I'm not doing that here because that was one bridge too far for me to build for this training video, building video. So right now I'm going to put these pieces on. The other thing is, normally the 2x6 plates would be on here, but I didn't bother counting, so I put them here. So again, this is the first time I'm trying this. We will see what happens. So that goes on top of the brick. There we go. That goes there. There we go. That's all done now. And then this one this way. And again, I had enough 8x8 modified plates, grilled plates. We're gonna call them that. I call them that for my my actual launch pad, my rocket launch pad. And I didn't have enough. I didn't have 16 here, so I used the dark blay. And that goes there, and I cover that up. That goes there to cover that up. That goes there to cover that up, and that goes there to cover that up. Now, the reason why there's 2x2 tiles here, two by 2 tiles, and then went down to 1x8 just to fill in that area, is that the curve comes around here, so these 2x2 tiles will be exposed. And I'll show you that when I put this thing on. I mentioned that with the landing pads. This we'll call it a landing pad plate. It's 32 studs by 32 studs, and the hole that the circle makes is 34 studs, and the inside diameter. So you have this one row of studs on the 90 degrees that's exposed. Excuse me. So what I did on my rocket launch platform is I did this. But you don't have to go all the way to the edge because, of course, the curve curls back in, and I'll show you that in a sec. So I think we are ready, and I hope I built this thing correctly because I've never done this before. So here I go. I'm going to put these together. I love to hear the Lego bricks creak. that's always a great sound. Put this one on top like that. So now I have my ring, and what I did on the bottom is that you can see these gaps because I wanted the reinforcement for the hinges, but of course the gaps have to be on top of these guys. So let us now, this should work. Let's see what happens. Hopefully I built this incorrectly. So we'll start here, there, there. Oh, there. I should get like a dolly or something. And press down on the 2x6 plates there on the edges, on the 90 degrees, and et voulou. That's it. I mean, honestly, it's a really simple thing to do. And as I was talking about, here's the yellow tiles that are now exposed there, but then you don't see them. So that's why you can get away with the 1x8s on the edges. The other thing I do for reinforcing on here is I put these tiles, or do whatever you want on here, and uno momento, por favor. Is this thing gonna be? This thing might be too tall. I'm gonna have to take off the command module. Sorry, it's too tall. It's too tall for my room. But you can't see the top anyway. Let's just pan up. Let's see if I can do this. So, yeah. Who could possibly have a problem with this? I don't. and honest to goodness, yeah, it's a lot of repetitive. The whole thing is a very extremely repetitive build. Basically, there's 36 almost identical parts that you put together and then string them together. In the center, as you can see, like I wouldn't dance on it, but I stepped on mine. I wouldn't step on this one because, again, there's no reinforcement in the middle. I mean, around the perimeter. It's only here at the 90-degree marks. Right here, there's nothing there to support it. But, I mean, you don't, if you're not putting anything there heavy, like I'm pushing down on it, it's not going anywhere because there's a support right there, right? So here, it's fine. You don't need the supports underneath. I put them in there because I over-engineer everything. So, but and then you can do what you want. Like you can make all these pillars all the way around, and then you can't see inside because like right where the actual hinge plate is where they come together. So you can see on the top on these. Again, let's take this off. That's the first time that this rocket's moved in a long time. It's on our little shelf out there, display shelf, in the rec room. You can see here it touches at the back of the 3x4 slopes, and there's a gap at the front, of course, because it's 4 wide and there's a gap where the circle is. Actually, I can probably show you better here. So it touches at the back and there's a little gap at the front. So if you have that pillar going all the way down, it's basically a closed interior and people never see inside. So who cares what the inside looks like? Now, what I did in mine is I put Rob Hendrick's life lights inside, and I had him coming up these 8 holes here because there's 8 holes. There's a hole right in the middle of these 8x8 modified plates, grill plates. And then I put a 1x1 round trans dark blue, and I have the Rob Hendrick's advanced kit, so it goes around in circles. That's just added bonus. These 2x2 slopes on the inside is just Art Deco. It's just to make it look neater. Without it, I think it looks nicer with this inside. And then again, I put the grill plates on top, and I put the bars on top of here just to add to it. It's greebling or just adding artistic flair to it, whatever you want to call it. Adds nothing structural to it, but you got to do something with it. That's the entire rocket platform right there. For these empty areas, I put vents, because this rocket, all the stuff, the hydrogen, the water vapor, and all the smoke has to come out somewhere. And so in universe, I thought, hey, just put vents here, right? So I know the one over at Cape Canaveral, Cape County, whatever, in Florida. They have, it just goes into that big huge concrete swale, and it goes out the side. In universe here, I didn't have the space to do that, so it just comes out here. So what if you feel, and I even thought about this when I mentioned the other things, that like this would be a cute enterprise primary hull. No, not the whole thing, but just using 36 of these white, and make them in white, and then you make a primary hull kind of fancy, and then you can make a secondary hull. I can make the primary hull pretty easy as a secondary hull that I would have, because I'm not build sufficient enough to try that. But the other thing is, you can make a tire. This can be a tire, right? I thought about just I'm going to try this. You put enough reinforcement. It's a tire. It's round. So, I don't know. All these things I've thought about doing with this building technique. I don't know. I always found it interesting. But what I do like about the rocket tower specifically is story time, because this is done. My buddy Jeff and I started doing, well, even right the very first layout, the very first space layout, because he brought the space train that went around the perimeter. So that went on for a few shows, but then he brought a rocket, a classic space rocket, not the Saturn V, this classic space rocket. And that was brilliant. And basically we just put it on one of those 32 by 32 landing plates, base plates, for a bunch of shows. And I told him, I said, Jeff, I'm going to build you a platform for that rocket with a tower. And that took a long time to design and build, but you just saw me do this one. Of course, I'd done it before, so it was a lot easier the second time. So it's a lot easier the second time. So I built it specifically for Jeff's rocket, because I basically took the idea that, because the very first big circle I built, before the landing pads even, BrickFet 2011 did not have round landing pads. BrickFet 2011 did have the observation deck, and that's the first time I did this, and it worked fantastically well. So I used it everywhere. So I used it in the rocket launch, I used it in the habitat, I used it in the observation deck, blah blah blah. I used it here. So as you can see over these, I don't know how many videos we got going into this now, it's quote unquote an easy build. Requires a ton of bevy, a lot of parts, but they are all basic brick parts. You can see that these are just basic bricks. This is a roof piece that's been around since the 60s. The hinge plates in the 80s, of course, that was a lot of brick linking, because there's 72 per circle. It's 36 on the top and 36 on the bottom, and then 36 on the top. So there's 144 1x4 hinge plates in this thing right now. 144. You think about that number. And there's 72 wing plates. You have to get 72 if you want this here and that there. And then every level you need exactly the same thing. 72 hinge plates, 36 things. You don't need the slopes until you just get to the top. The rest is just brick built. Or if you want the greebling and all the other stuff, then absolutely you have to get on. The world, just knock yourself out, do whatever you want. Show me, if you're going to do this, show me what you did. Because of and I say this at every show, that when people walk up to me and they love the space layout, and I'm very appreciative of their appreciation of it. Because I mentioned I love other people's appreciation. I'm very glad that they appreciate me. But I mentioned that the space layout that I have been displaying since 2011 and even before is 90% basic brick. There's hardly any there's trans yellow, lots of trans yellow. But overall, you can see this whole build. There's 2x4 plates. There's 2x4 bricks, 2x3 bricks, 1x2 bricks, 1x4 bricks, the 3x4 slopes, the wing plates, and then the hinge piece. And I classify that as mostly basic. It's been around since the 80s. The fancy 8x8 that makes it look good. You can put anything in there. I like the 8x8s. It's reinforcing. This one, like 16 pieces in there. Easy to build, easy to reinforce, and it looks good. It looks like it's supposed to be there, right? Kind of like a grill plate. So, but not too many fancy dancy pieces, and absolutely straight up, no fancy build techniques. People say the circle's a fancy build. It really isn't. It's using hinge plates and you just connect them together. So, like you saw how when it was all stretched out here, it's nothing. I'm not being self-deprecating. It's honestly, I look at what people do with the snotting and the greebling and all the other stuff. I am an old school builder, and I have no problem with that. I'm not ashamed that I'm an old school builder, and people like the space layout, so I'm happy about that. And I have tried some attempts at, modernizing my building style. I do plan at some point, maybe when I retire, is to take the tower down again and the other things down again and rebuild them with more intricate techniques that we've learned from the newer sets in the past 15, 20 years of how to build like even the fancy cars and the speed champions and all the new sets that really don't follow this kind of building technique at all anymore. Like, it's very hard to find a set now off the shelf that does the basic brick on top of brick on top of brick on top of brick. There's hardly any of them anymore. Whereas when I was a kid, the fire station, the police station, the harbor rescue, all of it was just bricks on top of bricks. And it was extremely rare when you saw a stud sideways. It was like, because it was never happened. So, although back when I was a kid, the only thing that could actually get, besides doing the illegal technique of doing that, which they did in the lunar lander, by the way. So don't think it's illegal. They did it. They also did it on this set with the little lem and the American flag. They, with the 1x2 trans clear with the flag on it, they did that again. So it's not illegal. The Lego's done it. So do that to your heart's content. That's what I do. So that's my illegal technique. But so when I was a kid, all sets were just basically stacked up on bricks on tops of bricks or plates on top of plates. There's very, very little snotting, studs not on top. That didn't start. Even in the original line of classic space, didn't happen. Even in the 1982s, I'm trying to think about because I got them all here. I don't think building sideways was really catching on until after Blacktron 1. Because I'm looking at all my sets here, and no. Technic's different. We will just exclude Technic as Technic, vertical beams and all that stuff and whatever. But for town, city, and space and castle, there wasn't too much snot until well after. But this is where I did most of my building back when I was a kid. This kind of stuff, and there's a lot of people my age that caught on to how to do the new stuff. I'm a neophyte. I am not that guy. But anyway, I'm not going to keep on dwelling on about that. I think I'm not going to go off in a 17. I don't know. I should. Oh, there it goes. Oh, that didn't do it. I have to look. Oh, all right. So I have to turn it this way. Click. This honestly, in the history of the Lego company, okay, so I did build snot, but I wrote the instructions to do it. I adore this set. For me and my geekiness, the 10497 is one thing because that's just classic space geeky, but this is my history watching the space program. Okay, I was a little young for the Apollo missions, but anyway. I don't want to go on. It's 19 minutes. I showed you how to do it. So if you have more specific questions about how to do it after all that, I can break it down and do the little tiny, oh, these pieces are beat up, little tiny videos about how, whatever you have questions about. But you look at it, and honestly, it's pretty easy. And you just need the parts, and you need the space. So, and it doesn't have to be blue. So here's another tangent, because I'm not gonna sign off just yet. BrickFet 2016, 2017. I won't say I was getting bored of bringing the space layout, because I never get bored of showing the space layout. Although not too many other people after 2011 is when the actual space layout, as it is ish now, showed up at BrickFet. And it's changed a little bit. Most people, almost all the people never noticed the changes that I add and take out of the layout between 2011 and now. So that's 11 years of me putting this space layout out there for people to see. The boxes was a big thing a couple years back, right before the lockdown. The boxes, yeah, the year before the lockdown, I made those boxes, and they're just, for me, the best thing ever. But I had said, one of my very close friends and I had a very nice chat one day at BrickFet, 2016 or 2017. I can't remember the last one. That long. It was probably 16. It wasn't the last show, but anyway, before that. Anyway, I said, what I sort of want to do is, well, yeah, it was before I made it a small layout, like when it was still big, 12.5 by 12.5 or 7 by 18. So much fun. I said, I want to, and if I had a tractor trailer, I could do this. I want to separate the layout into divisions, where this little 5 by 5 area here is classic space with the blue and gray and trans yellow. And then it would transition into Futuron, which would be like a foot by a foot. No, I would put some effort into Futuron. And then Blacktron 1, and then Mtron, blah, 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 and have different buildings in different zones, kind of like moon base, except contained and maybe thematically the same. And then I was going to do to the tower, which I have, I just like pulling this out to bug you guys. What I was going to do to the tower would be dead center in the middle of the layout. And this half would be Blacktron, so it'd be black and yellow. And this half over here would be classic space. And then that's over here, Mtron would be red and black and trans neon green. And that would probably be like Ice Planet. And so this tower would be quartered into different colors. That was a plan. I had a plan to rebuild the entire tower. So 25% of it was a specific color to a specific theme. And she told me, that's a great idea and concept, but the tower's gonna look like crap, and nobody but us fans are gonna get it. So what if you want to do something like that? Again, have a section for classic space over there, then the monorail takes it over to Futuron, and then the monorail takes it over to Blacktron, and blah blah blah. Like, that was an idea, but now I'm at the point, as I say, where I'm very happy that the whole thing fits into my car, and the whole thing sets up in under 2 hours. And now that I got a small version for one-day shows that sets up in under half an hour, that's even better, because it's almost, besides the actual Lego convention, all shows that I've been doing in the past bunch of years, okay, I'm gonna rephrase that. Most shows in the past bunch of years have all been one-day shows. They start at 9 or 10 and they end at 2 or 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And I do not feel like setting up for 2 hours for a 5 or 6 hour show, because I have to set up for 2 hours. I have to take down for an hour, so that's 3 hours. So taking up and setting up and taking down is half the time of the actual show. Now that said, when I did a few years back, again before the lockdown, I did the Hamilton Steam Museum open doors thing. That was 2 days. That was fantastic, and I got to set up really stupid early in the morning on Saturday, and that's just down the street. No, that way. That was just on the street, and it was in the building. Like, they originally wanted me to set up outside with the mechanical guys, but when I showed up and I'm going, it's on top of picnic tables and mechanical guys and blah blah blah, and it's just roped off and it's underneath a gazebo kind of thing, a lean-to. And I said, what happens tonight when I go home? Because this is out in the open. so I said, we'll move you inside where the actual train guys are. And so they put me inside, and it was utterly fantastic. It's what it was honestly one of my favorite shows, because first of all, I just love the Hamilton Steam Museum. I adore the Hamilton Steam Museum. I get there anytime I can. Just the feeling of history and the knowing the whole stories and blah 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 behind it, and what it did for Hamilton back in the day, and just looking around and seeing, like, this is stupid old school, like with brass fittings and how gorgeous it is and blah blah, like the workmanship. And then here's my space layout. so I really appreciated that, and the fact that it's not 7 minutes down the street for me to get to. So that was always a huge bonus, because even when we did Anime North this year, it's 45 minutes from the house, and then we had to rent a hotel room. That's a whole other story. And the hotel room, because it's Anime North and there's like 3 other things that weekend in Toronto, we were out in the outskirts in the hotel. That cost us a gazillion dollars a night, because the entire downtown area was all sold out of hotels. So hotels around the area knew they could jack up their prices. But I loved Anime North. I absolutely adored Anime North. And I will go back next year. And hopefully the Torolog will be able to have a bigger showing next year, because I was very happy to be there, and I think the people who are in attendance to Anime North loved what we had there, and we can actually really show that up next year. But anyway, I love doing shows. I adore doing shows. It's my favorite, is the display in public. I'm starting to like this when somebody asks me something on the YouTubes and say, hey Dave, can you show me how you did that? Or hey, do you have, I saw something in one of your videos, can you pull it out and have a discussion about it? Love it. I'm here for it. But the shows, public shows, are just honestly the best. And excuse me, working, showing off to the masses is just, I can't, I'm gushing about it. I said I was going to wrap this up, so here's me wrapping it up before the 30-minute mark. Thank you for watching. If you have any more questions about this, absolutely give me a shout. I think I've done enough explaining how to separate a habitat from a rocket platform. So I don't think I need to do a habitat, because basically you see the habitat here, except the inside is all full. That all comes out, and then this thing just sits on top of those cross members, and using these guys to hold up the floor / ceiling. But if you want to see that, let me know, because it's set up now. I mean, I can take this thing apart and do the habitat, but I think I'm going to go off and do something else. I'm going to clean up this again, because I do have a few more bins to offload, but those are my bins, so I'm no rush to do them. And I do want to start modifying some stuff on the space layout to make it easier, better, nicer. So I'm going to start doing that. I know I broke a few things when I took it down at the Mississauga Comic Expo, so I want to get that fixed. And I need to build the woodworking, although it's getting cold, back in the shop again. I meant to do it over the summer, it didn't happen. I have to build another few wooden things to make the layout easier to manage, both in storage and at shows. So I didn't get that done, so that's on my list of things to do. And yeah, so there you go. That's it. I have nothing else to say. And right at the 29-minute mark, everybody out there, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. And again, I won't say like and subscribe, but if you want to, I'd love to have you along for the trip. So stay safe, take care, and I'll talk to you soon.